Good evening. This is Frank McNeil again with the talk of the town, and I'm really happy to be back with you guys again. And of course, we have more stories to talk about, but something came to mind to me this week, and I just thought I'd have this discussion with you. And thank you for the number of people that gave me a call about the liquor license and the garbage hauling last week. And I'm going to try to keep you entertained with things that I think we ought to be thinking about here in Springfield. And hello, city council members. This is one that you and the mayor, Misty Busher, are going to have to think about. And I think it's high time that we have some debate about the Springfield Beach. And you know, for many, many years, starting, I think it's opened back in 1934, 35, in segregated times, they had, of course, two beaches. Bridgeview Beach was for blacks, and Lake Park Beach was for whites. And well, I think it's around the late 60s when they sort of broke the barrier. But Lake Park Beach had a drowning. Young black man was drowned several years ago. And for many years, there had been discussions about upgrading that beach. But after the drowning, a lawsuit was filed, and the family of the young black man prevailed. I'm not sure. I think he had a pretty large, substantial award, and I think it was reduced to some degree. I'm not sure what the status of it is now. I think it's pretty much resolved. But the tragedy of not only losing that young black man, but is that the beach was taken away from the rest of the residents of the city of Springfield. Many a young man and woman and family for many years used that beach. It was a place where a lot of people went, and it was free. And even back in the day when I was a member of city council, uh, the beach is not very close to the east side community. So we eventually had a bus sort of running out there where kids could, from the low income communities, could get out to the beach and, take, tax dollars pay for it. They should be able to, access it and have fun out there as well. So, general manager at the time, Todd Renfro, under the Davlin administration, the decision was made to close the beach. And I can't remember how many years ago that was, but it's been at least 10, 12 years or more. I think it's time that the city, this is a major asset to the city of Springfield. And I think it's time that the city of Springfield and the aldermen take a look, have the city water, light, and power staff or other staff, have somebody go out, take a look at the beach, see what needs to be done, and make some decisions about how they're going to raise the funds to access and to refurbish the beach and reopen it for the community. Now, there is limited swimming areas already. Lincoln and Southeast pools are pretty much the public pools that most people utilize. Private pools are around, but that's not accessible to a lot of people. So having that beach open again would give access to a lot of people that don't have access to the pools or don't want to go to the crowded pools. And the beach gets crowded on occasion, but I think this is an asset that we really need to think about. And here, a suggestion, maybe for the first 2, 3, 4 years that we spend the money, and the city can spend the money the city can spend the money and do the repairs, do the upgrades, do whatever needs to be done there. Then there needs to be a training of lifeguards and accessory, and then bid out, bid out the food service out there, bid out the jobs. It used to be a sort of like a plum job to be a lifeguard or one of the maintainers out at the beach. So the kids got to go to the beach and work and make a little bit of money, and but at the same time they got to see all the cute little girls running around in the bathing suits and all those kind of things. But the issue for me is the asset that the residents of the city of Springfield are not being able to take part in, and that I think is always secondary. It seems to be to get this kind of thing done, and I think we can be better than a one-track mind. I think that the beach can be reopened, and with some out-of-the-box thinking, maybe you put a limited fee for people who access the beach for until you can raise some of the funds, or you pass a special levy for the beach, or you put it on a city water, light, and power bill for maybe a year, beach fund, and it'll go before the city council, let them vote on it, and see if people are interested enough, and let it be a vote for the population of Springfield. If they want to pay, this would be a limited time till they got the fund, the monies. They know how much money it's going to raise. They can go out there, do the work, get it done, and that fund would stay on the CWLP bill for a limited time until they got everything done. Then it comes off. That's my idea. And I'm sure a lot of people will say, here goes McNeil again with one of his harebrained ideas, but I don't think it's harebrained. But I think there's a major asset that's just going to waste. Nobody's getting access to it. And I think the city owes it to the residents to get out there and do something about it, and try to make a difference. And now that it's April, you could say it opens June 1, give you guys a couple of weeks, a month, to see if there's, it's going to take longer. Probably we're looking at, if this year at all, it would be late July, probably, before you could get all of the stuff done out there that needs to be done. But this is a goal of trying to bring back amenities to the residents of Springfield who are paying for it. That beach is still there. Everything is still there. It's just a matter of how much do we want to spend to get it up to a top flight facility. Then you can sort of advertise it for picnics and events, and build a separate meeting room over there so that it could be rented out for parties and things like that. No alcohol, by the way, for young people. And try to be a little ingenious about raising some funds for the beach and making sure that there's access to the beach for everybody. So I look forward to hearing your comments and some feedback, because I think that this is an idea. It's way overdue. The city owes it to the residents to not just let this gem of a recreational facility go to pass. Bridgeview Beach is still open. I used to access it in my earlier days here in Springfield. I haven't been out to Bridgeview lately, but the other problem is that Springfield's history tells us a story about the beach clubs around Springfield, that at the time, no African Americans were allowed to have a beach club around the lake. Now, there are a number of beach clubs out there, and I'm not mad at the people because this was city, state sanctioned segregation when these beach clubs were built. But I think now is the time to take some proactive steps to open up the beach and allow people to access the beach. And I don't know that many people still want to. I don't have a boat. I know several friends of mine have boats. They like to go out and fish and things like that. And there is an access, there's a dock access out there, but there is no one club that caters to African Americans per se. Now, I know that some of the clubs out there have integrated and they have Black members, and I'm happy for that. And I'm happy to see that Springfield is moving forward in that respect. But past practice is why we are standing here looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, was that the right thing to do? Not to allow African Americans to have a beach club like everybody else. So, as we move forward, let me get back to the issue at hand that I started this podcast about, and that is the old Lake Beach Club that was run by CWLP. I think it needs to be reopened. I think the resources need to be put aside to reopen it, and I think that the aldermen ought to take the time to go out, take a look at it. They should make a decision, and somebody should put forth an ordinance saying, if it's going to be next year, then start the process now, and we can begin to take a look at it and see if that's something we want to do. But I believe that is something that should be done. I think it's the asset is the cities. It is it's underutilized, if I can say it that way. And I think it's the responsibility, as I should say, of the city and the city leaders to do better. I know that we, unfortunately, the beach, we lost a lawsuit. But just like people, all kinds of lawsuits the city has lost since I've been around, they didn't shut down. They didn't shut down the police department. They haven't shut down streets department. When we get sued, they haven't shut down a number of places. But they took away the beach. And I think it's now time to start the process of getting it back up and running. So when you get a chance, think about what I say. Shoot a comment to me and let me know what you think, or hit me up on Facebook and say, hey, Frank, I think you're way out in left field, but that's nothing unusual. I'm normally out there and I get back on occasion. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give a little commercial break here. And for Sangamon Watches, downtown 206 South 6th Street, one of the places where you can buy some great watches. And not only that, you can get them repaired. They have the repair shop is back downtown. Remember years ago, there was over at Bridge Jewelry, Jasper was over there, and Jasper could repair your watches. Well, now Jasper's gone, unfortunately, but at Sangamon Watches at 206 South 6, they have a sales of watches and other items, passports, Route 66 passports, and you can get your watch repaired. And it's not just Sangamon Watches, but any watch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break and come back with you in just a few moments. Good evening, and I'm back with you. This is Frank McNeil with the Talk of the Town, and man, got a lot to talk about, and I'm bringing up things that I think sometimes we forget to have some discussion about, And one of the things after they found the body over off of Wheeler, South Grand this week, wanted to talk about cold cases in the city of Springfield. And man, do we have a plethora of cold cases of people who've been killed and nothing's been found. No one's been punished. And I know that there is a group that was formed about the number of people who have lost loved ones with no end result to it. And I can think of just, I think the last we had a count was somewhere around 12 or 13 or maybe more cold cases in the city of Springfield. And I don't know. There's a new chief now, so I don't know if he has a cold case squad looking or working on these cases. But I do know that a lot of family members out there would be happy if they had someone who was out there looking for those persons that took their loved one away. The biggest case that I think that it was two cases. The Cook Street case, young Jared Womack, I think it was his name. I know his mom. And Mr. Fresh and Keisha, who were murdered over on Lawrence Avenue. And we just can keep going on and on. And there seems to be, once they're gone, they're forgotten. And I don't think the families forget because that pain, that openness is still there. And I think that to me, and I'm hoping the new chief, since the last chief is gone, hopefully the new chief will evaluate and say, let's take a stab at some of these cold cases, because I think a lot of this stuff is just a lot of shoe leather, hard work, DNA we have access to now, and I think we can get some things done. But cold cases in Springfield have, you know, they give people the sense that some people are not worthy of solving the cases, and I'm saying that because I hope that the sensitivity of these things get to the city leaders, and the city leaders can then sit down and say to the chief of police, we'd like for you to create a cold case squad and get out here and try to solve some of these murders, because it's good for the city to get these things off the books, and it's good for the families. And, as there has been for many years a divide between some communities and the police department, I think this would elevate and help, tear down some of the barriers and the bridges that separate the communities, and give us an opportunity to come together more as a result. So this is one of my, as I get on my pet peeves here and there, one of my pet peeves about this cold cases and really getting some real hard work done on these things. And I think I'm still looking for the Carpenter and Graham report. That's what I call it. Over 2,000 pages that the city, going back to my good friend, former Mayor Tim Davlin, and Mike Houston, and any other mayor that have been in Springfield that refused, they wouldn't even give it to me. And at the time, I was an alderman. The 2,000-page report, over 2,000 pages, 2,300-page report about the police department. There are a few of you out there that remember that when I called for the investigation of former officers Paul Carpenter and Jim Graham, the state police came in, did a 2,300-page report, and we only got the summary. And they did more investigation trying to find out how the alderman got the summary of the report. And the summary was not a good look at the time of the police department. It showed some glaring things that needed to be taken care of. And it showed almost criminal act, almost, let me qualify that. I'm not calling anybody former police or current policeman, but it was almost criminal activity on some of the part of some of the officers that were serving at the time. And some of the officers whose names were put into context have since retired, and so nothing we can do about that. But I think that it's high time that 2,300-page report be released, and I think that would give the citizens of Springfield an opportunity to see what was going on, and I think it's a time for a cleansing and to get those skeletons out and get it over with and start anew. And I think that's something that I still carry with me, because 2,300 pages, and I only got to see like a summary, which was about 30 pages, a 30-page summary, and it was quite detailed. And some of the things that we found out were not very good about our city police department. And I'm not picking on the police department. I'm just saying what was going on at the time. And hopefully the police department is in much better shape now. Hopefully the police department is and I think it's operating in a much better fashion. I'm looking forward to maybe sitting down with the new chief and having some discussion, because I always have ideas how things can be better and how we can better interact. And so I'm open to that. And so it's just a time for us to do some healing in Springfield. And I think that 2,300-page report that was kept away from the residents, the city residents, it was telling us something. The state police did an exhaustive study that was telling us a lot about our police department that we never got to see. And to me, the mayor owed it to the alderman. And I did ask over and over again to be given that report, and the mayor refused. And there should have been a discussion between the aldermen. And even if we had to go in executive session to discuss the results of that report and to make recommendations to the mayor and us, the city council at the time, that's what those reports are for, so that you can learn from it, look at it, and make changes based on the findings. But when the mayor sits on it, because I think, and this is just my opinion, I think it exposed the city for some of the things that was going on in the police department, exposed the city. And so they sat on it and say, well, we're not going to let it out because we'll get sued. That's just what I think. Now, I would love for Mayor Houston or somebody to send an email, a response, or Facebook me, or whatever you want to say, and say why you felt that we weren't worthy, the citizens of Springfield weren't worthy of seeing that report, and to get to the bottom of what was going on in the police department. That's how I feel about it. And I just wish we could do more to engage our police department. And we're back to cold cases. And that's how people feel confident in the police department to give them the information. Years ago, crimes got solved because people trusted the police department and they didn't mind giving them information that helped them solve the crimes. When you have the distrust that unfortunately exists today, police don't get the tips, the help that they used to get from the community members because there's this distrust there. And that's why I feel we have the number of cold cases we have, because a lot of people might know about what had happened, but one, they feel afraid from retribution from the people who committed the crime. And two, they don't feel that the police department will protect them if they came forward and gave that information. So I think these are two things that there has to be a conversation. There has to be some reckoning with this. And we have to do a much better job of communicating as community and police department, and build some more bridges so that we can get these things out in the air. And I think the Mayor Langfield and now Mayor Bush have done a good job, I would say, predominantly under the Langfield administration. He has brought in some parity in the police and fire departments. It's improving. It's not where it should be. And but I think the consciousness is there, and I think that they want to do more, and they want to do a better job. And integrating, the department was integrated, but bringing in officers that have some understanding of the community. And the cold cases might be somewhat better handled when people can get out there in the community and get information before the case goes cold, and try to track down the people that committed the crimes before they get out of town, dispose of evidence, or whatever else is happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to fade away for the night and fade away for the weekend. Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. And, I'm on Facebook and YouTube. So send me some information, send me some comments and say, hey, like what you're doing, don't like what you're doing, do more. But I'm looking forward to it. And now my last commercial for the evening is go down to Boyd's New Generation Restaurant. Ate lunch there this afternoon. Yes, it was good. So go by and check out Steve and Chasla, Tammy. They're looking forward to seeing you down there. Yes, I had greens today, macaroni and cheese, and things like that. So yeah, I got to give them a plug. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to seeing you next week. And this is the Frank McNeil with the Talk of the Town.